First thing that you got to do to find clarity in your career. And I would say out of all of these, it's probably the most difficult, but the most essential as well. And that is to know yourself, to be honest with yourself. There's two levels of honesty. You can be honest externally with other people, or you can really be honest about what is inside of you, what you think, what you feel, who you are. So if you grew up in an athletic family and you're really musical and you want to be involved in drama and comedy and stand up, and yet you're afraid, well, that's not being honest with yourself if you're not pursuing that in some capacity. Honesty is hard. Like I said, but you can do things to know yourself. Now, what I like to do with clients is to take them through a process where they get in touch with their passions. A lot of times they're lifelong passions, things they've enjoyed, they like, they engage, that are easy and light for them, their passions and interests, and to get some clarity there, to understand their personality. So really, you can use an instrument like the Myers-Briggs, which is one I really like. The disc is also one I administer and really like. And then you look at your life experiences and where those three intersect. So your personality, your life experiences, and your passions and interests, that's where you're going to have a really good potential career fit. And there's a lot of options in that area, honestly, for most people. Now, I've had some difficult life experiences, which many of you had and have had and will have. So maybe you were in a bad car accident, or you lost a parent when you were younger, or you went through some kind of abusive situation. I know I was at the beginning of my marriage, we struggled with infertility. And I thought, this is very discouraging. I struggled with that. And I didn't have a whole lot of people I could talk to about it because it was often focused on my wife at the time. And although it was a good thing, but I would struggle there. And what I've realized now is that experience has led me to being able to talk to a lot of people about a difficult subject over really the last 13, 14 years. My daughter's 14, so she was born, and we struggled for a long period of time. I went through, obviously, I've talked about this before, but I had unfortunate, difficult situation happen over the last 5 years that I've struggled with, a divorce. So that's helped me, a life experience which I would never would want to have, but it can help me to help other people. So these positive and negative life experiences are part of knowing yourself and being honest with yourself. Now, I've said this before too, is rigidity is the cardinal trait of mental illness. We want to avoid rigidity, accepting who you are, what you've been through, your strengths, your weaknesses, your failings, and being willing to live that out in some ways, not in an awkward way, but in a public way, to be yourself. That is accepting yourself. And that's going to lead to a more satisfying career fit, a life where you can just let these things out and not have to hide and not have to disguise and not have to live in a hole, basically, so you can be who you are. Now, what I like to do with clients is take them through the DISC and the MBTI and the Strong's career assessment. The Strong's I've really found helpful. It gives you ideas on what good career fits are for people based on your answers and the sample size. I mean, they compare them with everyone else who's taken that instrument. And I believe there's been a very large sample of people that have taken that instrument over the last 15, 20 years. So that can be very helpful. I don't like clients to go into that thinking it's just going to give them the accurate, clear cut, this is what I must do kind of answer. You have to filter it, or you have to actually look at it through the lens of, does this align with me? Does this inspire me? Can I see myself in this job 10 years from now? Can I see myself enjoying this job 10 years from now? And as you're honest with yourself and your interests and your passions and your personality, you'll start to see that some of these careers, some of these things align with you based on the results from the Strongs. Other things you can do is you can simply, as I mentioned, take a risk to live out who you think you are in a public way, whether it's volunteering, whether it's just being more honest with people, making new friends, joining a new support group, joining a new hobby, something that's going to get you in front of people where you can see, okay, I'm more real and I feel better and I like this. And so this is going to be a better fit for me. And so you don't change who you are. It's just, you're not hiding out anymore. You're doing things differently through journaling, through going on a drive, through going on a walk. You find ways to understand and look at yourself honestly by trying new things. Maybe it's that you try hunting or fishing or some new hobby because you've had this on your mind. You think you might be interested in it and you're going to engage it. Take a risk. I mean, these are risky things to do. I mentioned how I like to take, or it's healthy to take risks where you can get rejected, where you can feel inferior, where you can feel like a failure. If you don't fish and you try fishing out, you may go with some buddies and feel like, man, I don't know anything here, or you try photography and you realize I like this, but I feel inadequate. So it's triggering some things inside of you, which actually helps you to understand yourself better so that you can make different decisions. It could inspire you. And you're saying, despite the little tiny bit I know about this, I'm still wanting to learn more. It's still something exciting for me personally. To get to know yourself, you got to listen to your intuition. So one of the best possible things you can do related to anxiety is to learn to get in touch with that inner voice, to get out of your head, to recognize it for what it is, even name it, saying, there goes that anxious worry again. There goes that insecure thought again. You name it, and then you ask yourself even though, what is in my heart about this? What is the truth about this? So I look at truth as being different than some of the psychological lies or cognitive distortions we can believe. So the truth, people can believe they're a failure, they've made so many mistakes, they're ashamed of themselves. Why try to make good decisions? I'm just going to give up. And then they know inside the truth is that they're a child of God. There's a plan for their life. There's a purpose for them. They can make good decisions from this point forward. They don't need to live in that shame. They can start to do things that are going to get them to the place they want to be in a year. And they start letting go. That's your intuition. If you ask it, if you step back and listen to it, there's going to be a different level of truth.